What's up, boys? Back out here. Went and picked up the flywheel this morning. Turned out great. So everything's still in spec. They checked it all. This is like a reverse step. But so they had to take these pins out. He's got to make sure that lip stays the same. And cut down this part so it all matches up right. But it looks great. I'm going to pressure wash this transmission. This thing's filthy. The clutch should be coming with all new this. So I'll probably take this off. I don't really know yet. And I put bag on the back just to protect the shifter and the little, what you call it, hole. I'll do all that by hand. Clean that up real nice. Alright, I'm just gonna watch this and I'll bring you guys back instead of sitting here getting the camera all wet. I had to bring you guys back for this. I don't even know if you guys can tell. Yeah, kind of. I've never seen it this dirty. And it's not leaking, I don't think. That's not like an oil. That's just like clutch. They roasted the clutch so bad. And like this, I thought this was black. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. There's like a 1/4 inch of stuff just coming off. I mean, maybe it's leaking. Maybe I'll crack this thing open and reseal this, but this is crazy. How much I've already pressure washed this whole thing like 3 times. And it's just, oh.
Alright, boys. Just be honest with you. It's been over 2 weeks since I cleaned the transmission. It's been a nightmare to find this seal that goes around the pilot bearing. And the furnace will kick off in a minute, so don't be upset about the noise. So like, this is like a normal pilot bearing, right? That like your transmission thing will sit on in like a car. Well, the RX-7 has a needle bearing. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that. Maybe I'll throw up a picture right now. And when I got this clutch, it said it came with everything. It didn't, because there's like this little seal that goes on the outside of this and like holds this in there. It goes in there like that on the centric shaft, which is pretty much a crankshaft. And I've been running around trying to find it. Every auto parts store is giving me the wrong piece. This is from O'Reilly's, this is from AutoZone, this is from Advanced Auto, this is from Federated, this is from Napa. Because even the dealership had to order it from Japan. So I'm hoping it's the same. The biggest thing I worry about is these needles falling out on this needle bearing. Oh, and here's the clutch. I'm kind of just all over the place because, like I said, it's been over 2 weeks. But here's the clutch. Can hold up to like 400 foot-pounds of torque. It's a sprung clutch. That's what I needed. I didn't want that puck thing, wherever that went. This clutch sucked. There's the throwout bearing. Here's the pressure plate. Doesn't look like it came with any bolts. That's another thing that pissed me off. This clutch was supposed to come with everything. It didn't come with this, and I don't have any bolts. So I gotta try to find those bolts from that old pressure plate, see if they work. But that's where we're at. This thing was just rebuilt. I've talked about it before. I could not find this rear main seal, like anywhere. So I'm gonna roll the dice. It wasn't leaking oil. And I'm just gonna reuse this seal because it's like less than 1,000 miles on this fresh engine. So hopefully it's good. If not, I'll have to take it back apart. Oh, and before one of you guys say that you have a rear main right here, this isn't this isn't for this. It's like 3 times bigger. So I don't know what they were thinking when they gave me that. No, I don't think any of these even go anywhere on this car. Alright, let's focus on getting this like release bearing and forks back on and all that other fun jazz. I cleaned this all up with just some brake cleaner and stuff. And you want to cover this all in grease pretty much. Not cover it. Put a little bit of grease on here. It's just covered in so much clutch dust. It's ridiculous. I don't remember how much I showed, but when I cleaned this, it like was peeling. Let's get like a little film on there. You don't need much, but you don't want nothing. I like the high temp red because it's just thicker and less chance of it flinging off. Just get grease on all these like surfaces that are metal on metal. Now some people will freak out and be like, oh, you gotta worry about it flinging up on the clutch, but I mean, I'd rather just have a little bit on here to where it's not really like a worry of it flinging out than nothing, in my opinion. And I don't really think you'd need any. I'm gonna put just a drop of Loctite on these. Just put some grease on the back of that and I forgot. I'll get my finger in there. Dude, there's no point in wearing gloves with me. I know a couple of you guys are like real freaking glove fanatics. So on the back of like these forks, or whatever you want to call this for this throwout bearing, there's a little indent where the slave cylinder pushes. And I just realized that the camera's been crooked this whole time, so sorry about that. But anything that's metal on metal, you want to just put a little bit of grease in there. Seems good to me. Let's get this engine on the cherry picker.
Alright, it's on the cherry picker. I don't know how well you guys are able to see, but like you got that little seal I showed you in there and a needle bearing. And I have a pilot bearing puller tool, but I think this pilot bearing is too small. Like there's no way I'm getting this in there. Yeah, like even the seal I can't get this in there. So I think I'm gonna have to use like the bread and grease trick. A lot of people are saying they're popping the seal out with a flathead, so let's try that.
And yes, I know, before someone says this is not the safest thing to be doing right now, but... there it is. Popped right out. Now I gotta figure out how to get this needle bearing out. But this thing definitely needs to be replaced because there's pieces of needle everywhere in here. Yeah, dude, this thing's toasted. Look, there's a piece of needle bearing right there. I don't know if you guys can see or not. Needles are just falling out like crazy. This whole thing's fucked.
Okay, now that it's been another 3.5 hours, I've been doing the bread trick. There's plenty of videos on this. This car's just a little bit different than anything else I've ever like done before. I use bread and grease. Some people just use bread. I use bread and grease. I think it makes it smoother. If your needles fell out like mine, or if you can pick them out, 11 is perfect to keep that suction. If you have your needles in there, you're probably gonna have to use like a 10 and then put some electrical tape on there. But what you're trying to do is like make a hydraulic press with the bread. You're pushing, and the only way the bread can come out is push the bearing out. So you need to kind of make it sealed.
If you're using 2 hands to hit this hammer, stop. Something's wrong. It's almost out. It's almost out. This is being such a pain, man. I've been doing this for 45 minutes before I turned the camera back on because I thought I was about to pop out. So the only reason why I turned the camera on, this lip is just so jacked up on this, like they hammered on it before. It's like someone did this before, or like pried on this centric shaft. Dude, I don't think it's moving anymore. This pilot bearing's about to come out. I'll just be honest with you guys. There's like a nice nick there on the edge, is why I've been sitting here trying this for so much. I pushed it back in, and I just hit it real quick, just like barely, like bzz, just to get this like burr off. But there's like a nice nick that rolled it over, and I could not get the bearing past it. Oh my God. Alright, you can go in here with like an Allen key or a pick, get all this out, and then use a bunch of brake cleaner to clean it. So I got that all cleaned out, spotless in there. I think I'm gonna take this off because there's breadcrumbs here and there, but I can't find this seal. I looked and it looks good. Like I said, this was just rebuilt, so the seal should be good. I think I'm gonna take these out, pull this whole thing off, and see what happens. Hopefully there's nothing crazy behind there. Oh, this is definitely a seal and a bearing, but I want to make sure that there's no breadcrumbs that fell in there, which it doesn't look like it, but this seal's covered in breadcrumbs, so I want to clean that. I just want to clean it all up real nice. Make sure there's no rips in it. Yeah, because I gotta reuse this, even though it's not ideal. Bearings look good though. They're brand new. There's proof of it being rebuilt right there. There's still like the coating on there. I had the camera rolling that whole time. I don't know how much you guys seen, but I used WD, went around, cleaned this all up. There's a couple little spots here and there where there's still some brake dust or clutch dust. Same shit. I am gonna put assembly grease on it before I put it back in, but I called Pettit Racing again. Alright, I've been on the fence about retorquing these because a couple people were saying that they put silicone behind these so it doesn't leak coolant, and I was like, if I torque them again, especially if I over torque them, they're supposed to be 32, and Pettit Racing, it was like, go to like 33, 34, just give them like another little turn just to crank everything back down in the order that they're numbered. because there's numbers on all of them. He was like, if you see silicone, then that's what they did. If not, if you just see a washer like I'm seeing, that's a rubberized washer. There's like a little gasket, I guess, on those washers. So he said he wouldn't be worried about it. He said spray these all down with WD though, just to help them turn a little bit better. So that's what I'm gonna do. I trust Cameron at Pettit Racing. He ran an RX-7 on the 24 hours of Daytona. He's the only one to make it last that whole time. Flat out, pretty much. So if he can build a car to do that, I'm sure he knows what he's doing for a street car. Well, that one turned. 7. Well, that one turned. That one turned. Well, that one turned the most. I got a couple of them that got like a quarter of a turn. The rest of them got like an eighth of a turn. So obviously that was a good move to do. All right, let's start putting this thing back together. All right, everything's lubed up. Okay, I was gonna put the flywheel on, but I think I'm gonna fight this pilot bearing first because no tool is gonna help me put this in. You gotta use a socket pretty much. Now a 12 fits on there, like a 12 mil on like this Matco impact socket. It's just a little small. 13 is literally the same size, like almost perfect. Like you put it in here and it's almost a suction fit. It's like, I think this is gonna be the one to go with is a 13. But I might have to be going back and forth from 12 to 13. Okay, I wasn't recording, but I got the bearing started. What I did, held pressure, and then as soon as I got it just barely to stay on there, I smacked it. Like, I tried it a couple times and it started crooked. I'd have to start all over. You pretty much have to get it just to sit on that edge perfectly, let it balance. As soon as you let go of your finger, be ready to smack it, like, quick. And I used a little plastic hammer. You have to get to go all the way back till it bottoms out and then get that seal in there. That almost like went in too easy. I don't know if it's bottomed out all the way around. Edges are beveled on this new one. It's hard to tell if it's actually touching. Let's get some assembly lube on there. I guess you could put grease on there too. I don't know, it'd be better to be honest with you. I might put a little shot of grease in there too. I just don't want these bearings going bad. Yeah, dude, this is almost like a rear main seal. You put it in there and it keeps like oil on that bearing. Let's just paint these needle bearings. It's pretty much a 13 again. This was like right here on the edge, so I don't know how far this needs to go in. There we go. I was panicking there for a second, started going in crooked. And this has been the hardest part to find. I'm gonna do a little bit more research before I go putting this transmission on. But it's almost like you're supposed to put oil in there. This seal's tight on there and oil keeps the bearings lubed is what I would think. Okay, time for the flywheel. I got my little key over here soaking in oil. Ian, why'd you soak it in oil? Because I've left these out for like a long period of time, come back and they're ruined. Alright, I'll just be honest with you. I've left these out, like they flash rust immediately. And then you clean them up and they're smaller and it's just stupid. Since that goes in there and like seals, let's clean this up. We'll clean this outside with brake cleaner. I just want to clean those threads off. They're nice clean threads. 300 foot-pounds is crazy. Okay, I did it by hand and just holding this in place to where I couldn't hold this anymore. I just like held it there and turned it with a big ratchet. Then I hit it with that impact on 2, which should be like 90. I just don't know the best way to go about doing this. Do I put a breaker bar on the front or do I put like a bolt in here, a bolt here and hold it with a wrench? 300 foot-pounds is a lot. Like 300 foot-pounds might bend a bolt or snap it off in this flywheel. Alright, everyone's all over the place on this, and my battery's dead. So this is what I got. I got a long bolt in where the transmission bolt goes. I got a pressure plate bolt all the way through. I took the washer off, and I guess I'm gonna try to hit it with a torque wrench. It's like 286 to like 365. It's like 100 foot-pound difference from the lowest to the highest. And everyone's all over the place. My impact should do 700. A couple people are like, I just turned it to 3 and hit that until it stopped spinning. Well, I'm not really okay with going from 350 to 700. And then other people are like, my torque wrench only does 150, so I did 150, then tried to get a quarter turn out of it, and I've been running it like that for years. I'm also not cool with that. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I actually ended up calling a couple other people too. My torque wrench only goes up to 150 too. I thought I went up to 250. So here, I'll just walk you through what I did. So I set my torque wrench to 150, which this isn't even mine. It's Adrian's, because he'll watch this video and the next comment from him will be like, that's my torque wrench. And then I hit it on 3, maybe a quarter of a turn, if that. I could definitely go more. But I hit it until it just like gave me 2 little turns and I stopped. So this should go up to 700, and it was nowhere near bottoming out, but it's tighter than 2. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of people now that say that they only torque it to 150 and then pretty much pray to God. So I'm past 150, but I can tell you right now I'm under 360. All right, let's clean this all up, get this clutch and pressure plate on. I swear, everything on this car has been a pain. I gotta get the paint out of this. So there's so much powder coating in there that I'm gonna have to clean that out. All right. So this one being like that reverse step thing, you can actually see the clutch disc. So usually when I do this, I try to like just get the weight off of there so it stays lined up. But on this one, you can. I just hit the camera, sorry. This one you can actually look up and see if the clutch is perfect all the way around. And then I'll look up the torque. I think it's like 20 something. I just want this clutch disc to stay in place so I can spin it, see if I got the same gap all around. So I'm not sitting here trying to try and get this transmission lined up. I just want it to be perfectly in the center, all the way around. It'll just help getting that transmission lined up better. And then make sure this is straight. And slides in and out fine. So it's 13 to 20 on this pressure plate. I got it set to 18. Well, the clutch is on. I'm ready to put this transmission on. If you guys made it this far, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. This whole build is going to be on my channel. The 3000 GT build, if you're interested in that, is all on my channel. Every nut, every bolt, how-tos on every single thing. You can make a 500 horsepower 3000 GT just by watching my videos. I think that's going to be into this one. I don't know if I want to put the transmission on. So if you're like watching this for like a how-to, it's pretty easy. See how the splines on there? You just want to match them up with these splines that are on your clutch plate and then put your bolts back on. It's pretty easy from here. I just don't know if I want to put this transmission on yet. If I want to put the engine and transmission back in, or if I want to put just the engine in, because there's only 2 engine mounts, and then put the transmission on with that brace. That'll be in another video, but that thing's cracked, I realize, so I either need to get a new one, upgrade it, or have that one welded. But yeah, I think that's gonna be the end of this one for now. We'll see you in the next one. I just don't know exactly what it's gonna be, but this thing's gonna rip. Should be putting out like 450, no problem. I'm pretty much ready to put this single turbo on. I will see you in the next one. See ya.